Hey guys, Justin here. Today we're going to talk about keto. We're going to talk about keto. Low carb diets, though, they've been around for a long time. What is keto? Keto or ketogenic diet just refers to being in ketosis, which is your body's using ketones for energy. This happens when you eat a low carb diet and a high fat diet. Your body stops using carbs for energy and starts using fats for energy. Um, the I guess we'll cover some of the benefits. We'll cover some of the cons or dangers of doing this. First, though, like I said, these kind of diets have been around for a long time. I think like the earliest record is like the early 1900s of doctors prescribing a low carb diet for weight loss. So been around for a long time, and now we have a lot of research around them. Keto's kind of blown up. I feel like in the last 3 years, but before that, it was like maybe the Mediterranean diet or low carb diet. I don't know. It's like a fad that comes and goes all the time. But there is a lot of therapeutic benefits to it. There's a lot of for some people it works really well. That's another important note, is that diets could be individual. Some people it may work really well for, other people not so well. But we'll cover that and just some signs to look out for. Before we get into this, though, I want to emphasize or stress the fact that no matter what diet you're following, you should be avoiding gluten, avoiding seed oils, and avoiding refined sugars. Those foods are those are pro-inflammation foods. They attack the body. They're not good for you, no matter what diet protocol you're following. Those things should be avoided, and you should be making sure you're getting a lot of nutrient-dense foods. I talk about that in other videos, so you can look up what kind of foods those are. But essentially, most disease that comes from diet or gut health is basically what happens is your body's not getting enough nutrients, and then cell function declines, and then once your cells aren't functioning properly, these negative symptoms come up, and then we group those symptoms together, call it a disease, and then say you have XYZ disease. Why do you have that disease? Well, because you weren't getting enough nutrients, your cell function started to break down. Root cause because you weren't eating nutrient-dense foods, you weren't eating properly. So to fix all that, I want to emphasize that before we get into this, because no matter, whether you're following a ketogenic diet or not, that's something you need to be aware of. All right, what are some of the benefits of keto? There's really a lot of research on this now, and there's a long list of benefits. It can be used to treat obesity, metabolic syndromes like blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol issues. Let's see, it can be used to treat neurogenic disorders, epilepsy, brain injuries. Side note on that, I did a low carb diet, and it was amazing the amount of words the amount of words and your vocabulary increases a whole lot. There's a lot of times where I was like, I don't even know that word. When's the last time it's been years since I've ever even thought of that word. So your brain function increases a great deal. That's why it's usually it's pretty much a staple of any like Alzheimer's regimens, or like I said, any neurological or brain issues usually benefit greatly from a low carb diet or a ketogenic diet. There's another one I wanted to mention. Gut issues. So IBS or GERDs, keto can be helpful for. I'll go into this a little deeper, because I don't think it's a long-term solution, but short-term, a lot of the research suggests that it helps cut down on inflammation in the gut, so you don't get cause the decrease in pain for people that suffer from IBS. The back end of that, though, is that the gut bacteria, a lot of your fermented bacteria comes from carbohydrate sources. So what can happen over time is gut dysbiosis, where you're not getting those that good bacteria, and then over time your gut flora changes, because then your good bacteria is starting to suffer, right? So short term it can be very helpful. Long term, I mean, there's not a lot of studies on it, but I wouldn't advocate it being a long term solution. It can be, there's some research that showed it was good against some cancers, skin disorders. Like I said, there's a whole long list of benefits of keto. And one of the things that a lot of people, like, when you switch from a high carb diet to a low carb diet, your body's going to go through some changes. And this is, I guess, where you're going to find out whether low carb is good for you or not. So there's a whole range of side effects: insomnia, irritability, fatigue, diarrhea, gut issues. Like I said, there's a big group of changes. Like, so your body's used to eating lots of carbs, and then when you try to switch it to low carb, it doesn't know what to do, and it has to go through. It has to change all its functions and figure out what's going on now, right? So if those symptoms for most people will affect them for 1 to 2 weeks. Some people as little as a few days. Some people don't get any symptoms at all, and the switch is perfectly seamless. But for most people, they'll get issues for 1 to 2 weeks, and then once they're past that, they're good. If, say, you're starting a low carb diet and you're a month in and you realize that you can't sleep, you're feeling terrible, you're having all these negative side effects, maybe low carb is just not for you. Let's see. I guess some of the dangers or the cons, like what people should not be eating low carb. Pregnant women, carbs are essential for fetal development during pregnancy, so pregnant women should not be on a low carb diet. Athletes, especially explosive training athletes, you use a lot of your glycogen storages for explosive movements, heavy lifting, jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, I don't know, just explosive movement exercises or sports, which is most athletes. Endurance athletes are the opposite, though. So long distance running or cycling, those guys could benefit and do well with a low carb diet. Again, it's going to depend on the person. It's something individually you'll have to experiment with and see if it works for you. Let's see, who else is not good for? If you have hypothyroidism or HPA axis issues, those people or people with those issues, hypothyroidism is very dependent on insulin. So you need you need insulin for your T3 and your T4 conversion, and then HPA axis dysregulation. A lot of low carb. A lot of the research suggests that it can actually be harmful to that condition, so make things worse. Aside from that, I think that might be it. One of the other pros I forgot to mention, I talked about blood sugar, insulin resistance, but type 2 diabetes, didn't want to wave at me. Type 2 diabetes is also another big one that a ketogenic diet can help resolve. It actually can help reverse insulin resistance. That's the word I was looking for. Which, so that's pretty cool. Like I said, there's a long list of benefits to a ketogenic diet. There's also, like I said, there's definitely people that need to watch out and make sure that making sure, if you're in that high risk category of issues or other diseases that it's going to hurt, obviously you shouldn't do it. It's also, like I said, it's very individual. You'll have to, it works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. I'll post a link below. There's plenty. I have plenty of resources on ketone meters and I guess just kind of tips on how to use a ketogenic diet. Also, lastly, I want to mention, just because a ketogenic diet is good for like a lot of those conditions I mentioned, and there's, can be used therapeutically to solve a lot of things. More often than not, it's not the only way. It's not the only diet or only way to solve those issues. So, like I said, it will work for some people, it won't work for other people. But for the people that does work for, we've seen a great deal of benefit eating that way, and especially if, like I said, you're following, you know, the nutrient dense diet and avoiding foods that are pro inflammation. Okay, I think that's all. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, if there's any topics you guys want me to cover, leave a comment below. Hopefully, I'm gonna be working on some handouts and guides for a wide range of diseases, and I want to have them posted on my website here soon. So stay tuned for that. See you next time.